Yeah, Tuesday. What's up, everybody? Tuesday morning. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. I hope everybody had a great Monday, which, some people consider that an oxymoron, just to use the term great Monday. But you can have a great Monday. It's allowed, I promise. It's all about choices. No, we're going to do what we do each and every day, looking at the same 10 to 12 futures markets from an educational perspective, identifying both breakouts and reversal trades. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor. Down below there's a like button, a subscribe button. Hit that. Hit the notification bell so you get the alerts, the updates, all that fun stuff. We do a fair amount of videos on the channel every day. We do this daily market commentary, and we're going to start to put a few more trade videos out. Hopefully that you guys will be able to find some use for. But let's go ahead and dive into what we're going to do today. So the ES this morning, we are up 24 points as our breakout trade has given us an entry. So we did get an entry yesterday in our breakout trade. You can see these wicks here right there created the basing necessary for an entry. So we've gotten a move from 32.32 up to 32 so far 69. So if you're still in this trade, which there's no reason not to still be in this trade, I think it's a good opportunity to take your stop and move it up underneath 32.57 to lock in some of that profit. So that one has moved very nicely, a very strong move away. That little bit of basing there gave us a pretty good entry. If you want to re-engage on this level, I think there's a chance we're going to make it all the way up to this 33.25 because that's really our next true area of supply. But if we get a bit of a pullback, if I move down to a 15-minute chart, we have a little bit of an area here that's actually not a bad little zone for a pullback opportunity right here. It's kind of a small level formed right there at about midnight central, which is usually a pretty decent Globex session. Not as good as our London Open time of the day, but it's not terrible either. So look down here for a potential reversal, and that's got to be in purple. But hopefully you're able to catch some of that breakout and allow that thing to run. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know, were you able to catch that breakout yesterday and ride that for a little bit. All right, looking at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ as well gave us a bit of basing here with a strong move away. Now, you may or may not have had your stop too tight. Now, remember our rule on breakouts. The stop technically is supposed to go below the prior pivot, which would have been all the way down here. If you put your stop a bit tight, you might have gotten wicked out right through here, as it did come down a bit lower, but technically your stop should go down in this region, so you've gotten a very strong move away from that level on this one as well. So now our next opportunity is to take our stop and really move it up, and I would say move it up underneath this 10.932 area, or possibly even this 10.976 area. So if you're still in that, allow those profits to run. I think that we could see another breakout above that high, above the Globex high, right in here at this 11.58, 11.59. We're seeing a little bit of basing there. So you might get another opportunity. If you do, now your pivot on this case, I guess, would be right below this big green candle here would be your tightest pivot. So a little bit of a wide stop there, depending on your risk tolerance. You may or may not be okay with that. You could theoretically go down to a 15-minute chart and then use this as your pivot, but just know that you've got a better chance of getting stopped out if you use that 11.28 as your pivot. So I think that's a pretty good level and a pretty good area for a potential entry. So let's look next at the Russell. So in our Russell position, we're also basing below our level for a potential breakout. So both of these areas here are closing in on a decent breakout trade opportunity. So keep an eye on both of those. Now the Russell, we would look for a pivot somewhere down below here as our stop loss point. So it's a little bit wider. A little bit more basing in here would be ideal, and we'll see if we get a breakout on that. So both of those are giving us a decent setup. Moving to commodities, crude oil and gold. So our crude oil level, we finally have gotten the break above the 4-hour line that we were waiting for a very long time. So if you took the bull call spread that we've been talking about in crude oil and the bull call spread that we've been talking about in crude for a while on the option. Once again, if you don't know options on futures, that was our vertical spread. The bull call spread that we were looking at was the October 41 by 46, although now because we've started the move, it's not going to give us nearly as clear as a it's going to be too big as far as the debit goes. But on the 41 by 46, it's still only a 234 debit with a 33 delta. So it's a pretty good move up to here. You could even do the 42 by 47 if you're just getting into it now, which is still a $5 spread. That's a $1.94 debit on a 32 delta, essentially 323 on the delta. So I think that's a decent setup for you, those of you that use options on futures for a longer term play, right? We're talking here about a longer term play that you would be in that trade for a while. Now, in this case, my stop, if you do that 42 by 47, your stop is going to go, let me redo this, auto. Your stop, the tightest your stop could be would be there at 40.73. And so if you decide you want to get in on this one, your stop would be at 40.73, which would be right about here. That's the tightest your stop could be, which gives you a risk right now about 472 against a potential return of a little over 3,000 if you hit max target. Now, that's as of today. Obviously, that loss is going to continue to get worse as the market would continue to drop. But if we're going to be wrong, I want to be wrong fairly quickly. All right. Next, looking at gold. And in our gold position, we had a clear demand level down here that unfortunately never got tested. We were looking yesterday at a 5-day iron condor. It's moved up just a little bit. We're getting a little bit closer to that 1850 area, which we had talked about as the upper end of those wings. And so if you took that, make sure that you are managing that trade according to your risk tolerance. Remember, as we get closer, you're gonna see that your P&L is not going to look as pretty. But we've got some. If we have any resistance to stop us from getting any higher, now the downside is that we don't have a whole lot of resistance aside from an overextension of the price movement. And so if you start to see us, getting into this 1845, 1847 region, and it might make sense to close that thing out a bit early. I still think as long as it takes a few days to get there, you're going to be okay. If we shoot up there today, that's going to be the hairy part. But I think it should be all right overall. When I look at this on a smaller time period, looking for a potential, long on a pullback, we certainly don't have a great short opportunity. But looking on a pullback at some of these longs, we do have a little area here. Not the best of level because it could be a little bit of a retest of this zone in here. But I think that we have a decent potential for a return into this 15-minute demand zone. Nat gas, we had a little bit of a nat gas kind of area down in here. Prices actually come back to our demand zone right from this level that we had a couple of weeks ago. So price is rallying up off of that level. One of them that we talked about yesterday was soy and taking our soy level out. When we got to this zone, it just didn't really give us anything. We did get a little bit of a breakout, but then it just kind of stalled on us and didn't do anything. So unfortunately, this soy level that we talked about yesterday didn't really give us any love. And then corn is still between those zones for those of you that look at those commodities every day. All right, bonds and currencies. Looking at our bonds and currency markets. The ZN is doing what the CN does, which is nothing. As we're just still kind of chopping along sideways in our bond markets. We still have some levels in there, but not a whole lot of reason to add a bunch to our trades. In the Aussie has continued to rally up, strong up move. We didn't have any trades set up for this thing because, frankly, it just didn't give me that really strong setup for me to lean on. But now, as I look at it, I see that we might have some better areas down in here, a bit lower if we do get a bit of a retracement. So I'm going to put this level here, 704, the 0.704, the area as a potential retracement. We do have a decent little wick over wick area here that could be a test, but I like this one down here a bit lower because of this resistance line up here. In the euro, we had talked yesterday in the euro about this level right in this region as we were kind of just moving along on this sideways price action, and so we didn't get much of a basing level in here to give us any sort of an entry one way or the other. We are still in between. We've got a supply level coming up in here, but that supply level, if I go to a 4-hour chart, oops, I got to go further back. That supply level goes all the way back to here, and that's a very nice rally-based drop after a pivot on that hourly chart. However, the downside of this, if we kind of zoom this thing forward, you'll see that price got very far away from it, but we almost came back to that area right here, which is why it's a confirmation entry. And so fast forwarding to where we are today, I don't know that I'm in love with that level. I think it might make sense to hold off on looking really deep into this trade, primarily because we already done a touch and go off of that zone. That was a really nice trade, and we're wicking up into it. So for now, I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to switch this from the daily chart, moving down to the 1 hour. We could actually get a basing area with a breakout above here. As far as a retest goes, you could have an area somewhere down on this level here on Friday. Canadian dollar, we broke out above our Canadian dollar level. We had a little potential for a reversal in here, but we were basing in front of that level. And then our breakout area, we popped right through it without any sort of an entry. So same thing that we have in the euro. I'm going to remove this level as well. I don't feel like this is a strong opportunity. I do, however, like this if we come back and retest that zone. That, to me, is the best one. This red one here is a bit of a retest of this area here to the left, and so I don't have that lined up for an opportunity. The Great British Pound, we did actually get basing before the level. We got a little bit of a breakout. We didn't come back below the prior pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you took this 6 candles later, we hadn't really gone anywhere, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 candles later, price hadn't gone anywhere. So at that point, you can take your stop and move it to break even, and technically, you should still be in that trade. Our target is going to be somewhere up in this region here. If you missed it and you still want to participate in this, wait for a pullback, but I actually think your better pullback is this one right here, if we do get a pullback in this position. Japanese yen, we're sitting still above our potential breakdown line at this 93157, so keep that breakdown area in place, and we'll see where that opportunity comes to play. All right, so that's what I have for today as far as areas where we may want to look for tradable opportunities. If you guys have any questions, as always, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Until tomorrow, everybody. Oh, wait, tomorrow, quick reminder, tomorrow's our live daily market commentary. So join us tomorrow morning, live, 7 a.m. for the DMC, and then we'll kick it off in style. So I'll talk to you soon, everybody. Have a great day. See ya.